Hey knitting peeps, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Bo Peep Knits. My name is Lisa, I'm a beginner knitter based in Canada, and today we'll be chatting about my knitting plans for 2026. I'm a relatively new knitter, I only started knitting last year, so perhaps my Make 9 plans are a bit ambitious, but we're going to see how things go. These plans are not set in stone whatsoever. They're just 9 things that I really want to knit this year, and so I'm excited to share with you. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to this channel so that you stay up to date on all the fun knitting content that I have planned for 2026. So, I have a box filled with all the yarn that I will be using for my Make 9 projects this year. So, without further ado, let's get started. So I'll be chatting about each project in the approximate order of how I will cast on the projects throughout the year. I'm currently working on the In Sweater by November Knits, which is my birthday sweater. I'm not going to chat about that project in detail though, just because I did cast on that project last year, and so it's not part of my Make 9. The first item on my Make 9 list is the Hanni cardigan by Knitters and Friends. It's been a while since I worked on a cardigan pattern. My first ever cardigan was the Maggie cardigan by Petite Knit. You may have seen me work on that pattern in my project vlog. I worked on that pattern when I was very new to knitting, and I do have some experience under my belt now, so I feel more ready to take on another cardigan pattern. This time I'm going to attempt to knit the Hanni cardigan, and this project is going to be especially meaningful to me just because I am going to dedicate it to my late dog Kaya. She was a friend of the channel, our resident yarn inspector, and she was honestly one of the reasons why I started knitting. And so back in January of last year, she was diagnosed with cancer, and at the time I was staying at home a lot to take care of her, and knitting really brought me a lot of comfort during those really tough times. I don't want to cry on this channel. This is supposed to be a happy video. But we obviously didn't know how long we were going to have with her. Mr. Bo Peep and I, we obviously felt grateful to have had that extra time with her. And during this extra special time with her, I was able to build an even better and stronger bond with Kaya. She was my partner in crime when it came to knitting. She was always there sniffing the yarn, and she was always curious about what I was knitting up. I had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. And so the last item that I actually completed before her passing was the Maggie cardigan. And I feel like it is a fitting tribute to her to knit another cardigan pattern. Kaya was a really big part of my knitting journey, especially in the beginning because she was always there. And so I feel like this is a really special project. For the yarn, I did purposely pick colors that reminded me of the color of her fur. So I'm going to be knitting it up using the Sandnes Garn Double Sunday in the color Camel. And the mohair that I will be holding it with is the Isager. I think it's pronounced Isager. I kept calling it Isager. Don't know why, but yeah, I think it's pronounced Isager. So the Isager silk mohair in the color 63. It's actually the perfect color match to Kaya's fur color. I think I did a pretty good job with the color match. I have a really strong feeling that this project will be quite a difficult one, not even skills-wise, but I think emotionally, just because I will be reminded of Kaya every time I'm working on this sweater. But despite all of that, at the same time, I'm still pretty excited to cast this on. The Hanni cardigan is actually going to be my next project after I complete my birthday sweater, the In Sweater. And because this project is going to be very special and meaningful to me, I will be documenting the process in a vlog, so please stay tuned for that. By now, I have quite a few raglan sweaters under my belt, and I really want to knit something with a different construction. And so I was kind of looking for the perfect v-neck sweater pattern, and I think I found the one. It's the Harlow v-neck sweater by Kadri. I've never knitted anything from Kadri before. I really want to try out the pattern. If you watch my Vlogmas videos, you probably saw that I was knitting up a swatch for that pattern. And so I will be using the Sandnes Garn Alpakka in the color Putty, and I will be holding it with the Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the color Cloud. I'm really excited to work with this yarn combo, and I'm really excited to cast on that project. I don't have too many v-neck sweaters in my closet. Yeah, I think I only have one sweater that's a v-neck. So we're gonna have to do something about that. But yes, the Harlow v-neck sweater is next on my Make 9 list. In my first year of knitting, I avoided color work like the plague because I felt like it was a little too much out of my scope because I'm just so new to knitting. But your girl feeling a little bit braver this year. So we're going to attempt to knit my very first color work sweater. And that sweater is the Norma sweater by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I'm aware that knitting 3 different yarn colors as my very first color work sweater is quite ambitious, but we're gonna try it out, you know? I actually saw a Norma sweater in person. At first when I saw it online, I was like, whatever, like it's just a normal sweater. I didn't really think that the color work was anything special. But when I saw it in person, I just like completely fell in love. And so, little sidebar here, but someone was buying yarn from me and they were wearing a Norma sweater that they had knitted when they went to pick up the yarn. And so their Norma sweater was brown, and then their color work portions were like a matcha green and like this creamy kind of color. And it was so beautiful. Like she modified the neckline, so it wasn't like a funnel neck or a turtleneck or anything like that. It was a crew neck instead, and it was stunning. I fell in love. I thought about it for literally all of the months after that, after seeing my very first Norma sweater in the wild. I just couldn't get it out of my head. And so I have to knit my very own Norma sweater. I really like the colorway that she picked, but I'm not going to copy her, you know. I'm gonna go for a different vibe. We're gonna do Neapolitan ice cream, which is kind of interesting, but I just kind of like that colorway, like the creamy kind of white with the light pink and the chocolatey kind of brown color. I think that those 3 colors really work well together, and I love ice cream. So I have 2 of the 3 yarn colors with me. For Christmas, Mr. Bo Peep bought me the Rerum Natura in the Cyrano yarn base. Cyrano? I don't know. I don't speak French, okay? Mr. Bo Peep got me 2 out of the 3 colors. So he got me Poivre Blanc and Quartz. I really wanted to get Poivre, which would be the chocolatey brown kind of color for the Norma sweater. However, Poivre is such a popular color that it just kind of sold out. It's completely sold out. I can't find it anywhere. He can't find it anywhere. And so I will just have to patiently wait. I'm a patient woman, so I'll wait. And also I'm not casting this on anytime soon, so I have time to wait. But yeah, I can't wait to knit up my Norma sweater. I'm really excited about it. I feel like I might actually end up knitting this before the Harlow. So we'll see. You know, your girl was having a blast knitting her Olga sweater. I casted that on in late summer, early fall. And I feel like the Olga sweater was the most perfectly executed sweater that I've knitted so far. I'm quite proud of my Olga sweater, and after knitting my Olga, I really was itching to knit another striped sweater, but I didn't want to knit another Olga sweater like immediately after, you know? And so I was kind of looking into different striped sweater patterns, And this one sweater really caught my eye. I've been meaning to work on a pattern from Chicka. I think that she's really great. I love her videos on YouTube. And so I really want to try a pattern from her. And she was having some sort of sale during the fall, I want to say. My memory is really bad, you guys. But during one of her sales, I ended up buying her Chicka cherry sweater, which is a striped sweater with ruffles on each of, what is this? There's like ruffles on the caps of her sleeves. Is that what, or like the shoulders? You guys know what I'm talking about, okay? I think a peachy pink brown color combo would be so adorable for this sweater. So I will be knitting up my Chicka cherry sweater with yarn from Hobbii. This is the Hobbii Copenhagen fibers in the Merino yarn base. And I got the colors, what colors did I get? 9 and 15. And I will be holding these two yarn colors with silk mohair from Isager. This is the color 62, I believe. And this is the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the color Plum Clay. And you can kind of see here, the color matches are not perfect, especially with the brown, but I feel like it'll still work. And regardless, I think that I'll be really, really happy with a sweater in this color combo. Next up on the list is actually a gift knit. It's the Fishy sweater by Hip Knit Shop. I've been meaning to cast on this sweater. I think it was actually one of the first few patterns that I had purchased when I first started knitting. But of course, the Fishy sweater is a colorwork sweater that's worked bottom up. And so I soon realized that maybe I can't really work on this sweater just yet. And that colorwork was definitely out of my scope. So I wanted to knit this sweater, the Fishy sweater, for my boyfriend. He is an avid fisher, and I felt that this sweater is perfect for him. So I will eventually knit up the Fishy sweater using the Hobbii Friends Extra Fine Merino Wool XL in the colors cream and olive. Cream will be the base of the sweater, and the color olive will be the color of the fishies. Honestly, even now in my second year of knitting, this pattern still looks pretty intimidating just because it is a colorwork sweater knitted bottom up. So I don't really know what to expect, but I feel like after I work on the Norma sweater, I'll have a little bit of experience with colorwork and maybe I'll feel a little bit more comfortable to cast on the Fishy sweater. We'll see. Wish me luck, you guys. I have another gift knit on my Make 9 list. This time it's for my mom. I have been meaning to cast something on for her, but she always refuses just because she does not wear any knitwear items, like at all. We live in Canada for context, so it gets really cold and really snowy here, and I don't know how she survives, but she does. She doesn't wear any knitted sweaters or cardigans. She doesn't wear any hats or scarves or mittens. I don't know how she does it, honestly. I really wanted to knit her something though, and so I had the idea of knitting her some sort of pashmina or like shawl or poncho of some sort to wear over her spring and summer dresses. And so I came across a pattern by Milote by Vic, and it's called the bloomlet poncho. And I think that it would be perfect for a spring, summer night kind of vibe. And so I will be knitting up the bloomlet poncho using the Sandnes Garn tweed recycled yarn, a yarn that I really, really love. But this time, this yarn is in the color beige tweed. It's such a pretty pattern and I cannot wait to cast this on so that I can finally knit my mom something. One of my favorite knitting YouTubers is Woozy by Celine. I think that she is absolutely adorable. She's so talented and so funny. And I really wanted to support her when I saw that she was releasing the Evie hood pattern. I thought that the pattern was just so unique and really, really special. I've never seen anything knitted with that star sort of like stitch before. And I really wanted to knit up another hood. This was around the time where I knitted up the Sophie hood. And so I really wanted to knit another hood. I didn't end up knitting the Evie hood, but it's going to be on my Make 9 list for this year. So for my Evie hood, I will be using the Le Bien Aimé yarn in the, what yarn base is this? So the yarn base of the Le Bien Aimé yarn is called Merino DK, and I actually got this on sale at the Knitting Loft when I visited Toronto in the summer. So I don't know if this yarn is discontinued. It might be, because I don't see it on the website anymore, on the Knitting Loft website, I mean. And the color of the yarn is very fitting for that Toronto trip because it's called Souvenir. It's so lovely, super beautiful. It's actually, yeah, I think it's the only hand-dyed yarn that I have in my yarn stash, which is really, really exciting. I cannot wait to cast on the Evie hood, as I am with all of the projects that I have on my Make 9 list, but especially the Evie hood. I've been waiting to use this yarn. Speaking of Woozy by Celine, I actually was influenced by one of her friends who appeared in one of her videos. I'm forgetting which one, but her name is Claire, and in the video that she was in, she was wearing this matching cardigan skirt set that she had knitted using this brown tweedy sort of yarn, and it looked so cute on her. I was so knitfluenced. I really wanted to knit my very own matching set using a brown tweed yarn as well, but I didn't get around to it. You know, I was working on other projects last year, and when I saw that another knitting YouTuber was also knitfluenced by Claire. Her name was Katie Snooks. I follow her. She also knit a tweedy, brown tweedy matching set. I had to knit my own version after that, okay? And so I want to join the matching set club. I won't be knitting a cardigan though. I actually want to knit my very first cabled sweater. So for my tweed matching set, I will be knitting the sweater number 15 by My Favorite Things Knitwear using my favorite yarn, Sandnes Garn, tweed recycled, this time in the color brown tweed. And for my matching skirt, I will be using the same yarn, but I will be knitting the skirt number 1, also by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And so I'm really excited. I have never knitted cables before, so I'm saving that project for the end. I'm a little bit nervous just because I feel like cables look really hard. I don't know, we'll see how things go. I will most likely document that process once I do, you know, get to that project. Hopefully I will this year, but I do have quite a few things on my Make 9 list. 9 things to knit as a beginner knitter. I'm still quite new to this hobby, so obviously I don't want to put too much pressure on myself to focus on like the output, how many items I'm knitting up this year, and you know, if I'm able to complete all 9 items on my Make 9 list. I don't want to put that pressure on myself. We're gonna see how things go. But yeah, last year, just looking back on my year of knitting, I did knit a lot of gift knits and not too many me knits last year. And so for this year, my knitting intentions, I do want to be more mindful of what I am knitting up. I definitely want to be intentional with the amount of knitting that I do. I really want to slow down and really appreciate the process, even if things get hard and the pattern gets really, really difficult. I really want to appreciate the process of knitting. I don't want to just speed through things or, you know, be really frustrated with myself if I don't really understand something in the knitting process. I really want to enjoy it. I really want to savor it. I am taking the time and the effort to really knit something, right, with my own 2 hands. And so I feel that if I were to knit something for myself, I will better appreciate it versus if I'm knitting something for someone else, I have this added pressure of like completing it during this timeline that I allocated for myself. And so I don't really appreciate it that much because I'm just focusing my energy on stressing out and trying to finish this project for someone within this time frame. And also I just really want to make it perfect for that person, for that gift knit. And so there's like also that added pressure. If I were to knit for myself, even if it's not perfect, I will still like it because I know how much time and effort and energy I put into knitting that item. Another knitting intention that comes to mind, I want to use up more yarn in my stash. Now, I don't think I have like a huge yarn stash by any means. I feel like I use up my yarn like at a pretty good rate, and any yarn that I don't end up using or any yarn that I feel like I won't use for future projects, I end up either selling or donating it to a local yarn group. So even if I don't use the yarn, it will be used by someone else. But I feel pretty good with the amount of yarn that I have. We're not over consumers in this Bo Peep household, so I am pretty mindful with the amount of yarn that I buy. Any yarn that I do buy, it is for a project. I'm not just buying it just because. And I feel like the more that I knit, the more yarn that I will end up using from my stash. So my yarn stash will just get smaller and smaller this year. I don't plan on buying any yarn for this year besides my trip to Tokyo. I will be visiting quite a few yarn stores in Japan, and so I will be buying yarn for that trip. But I think other than that, I won't be buying any more yarn besides the Rerum Natura Cyrano in Poivre. That's for my Norma sweater, so we have a project for that yarn. But besides all of those instances, I don't plan on buying any more yarn, and I don't want to. I don't need any more yarn. I'm pretty happy with the amount of yarn that I have, and yeah, that's it. C'est tout pour moi. So that's it for today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed hearing about my Make 9 plans and knitting intentions for 2026. I'm sorry if it was a little bit all over the place. My next video will be much better, hopefully. Please let me know in the comments what you plan on knitting this year. I would love to know. Your girl a little bit nosy, okay? There's no shame in that. Until we see each other next, please stay warm, please stay safe, and happy knitting!